thanks so much for joining me for this Get Ready With Me featuring some brand new Dior products. I picked up a new Dior Quint, this one right here. This is in the shade 519. I also picked up the new Dior Brow product, the new mascara, and also this new lip tint. And I'll also be trying on the mascara for you with and without primer. But let's go ahead and get started. I thought we could go in with this by Terry Brightening CC Serum. This is an Apricot Glow. I just like to add this for a little bit of brightening before I go in with my foundation. Going in with the Dior Forever Skin Glow. This is in 3WP. CdP Concealer in Mocha. SISLEY Under Eye Concealer as normal. Actually, I haven't used this in a couple videos and I definitely missed it. La Prairie, which I also have kind of put on pause to test out some other things, but I'm very happy to be using this one again. CHANTECAILLE's Next Generation Eye Base. I thought we could go in and try this again. I used it once in that video, and I think this was, out of all the products I tried, there were 3. This was one that had the most promise. So I just want to try this again. I haven't had a chance to really test it out. Oh, sorry, this is the HERMES. This is the HERMES powder in 01. It's a bit brightening. It does cool down my tone just a little bit. Like you can see, it makes it a little pinkier here. Let's go in with bronzer. I'm going to take the Guerlain Terracotta bronzer in shade 3, medium. I would use the Terracotta light, but I took it on my trip and I cannot locate it. I'm sure it's somewhere, but I haven't found it yet. Gucci brow pencil. Okay, let's finally go in with one of the new products. That took a moment. It's the Dior Show Onset Brow, and I took out my Dior Show Pump and Brow, so you can see the difference here between the two. It's a taller, slimmer. Is it slimmer? Oh, it just appears slimmer. It's not really slimmer. It just appears slimmer, and it's silver. I actually prefer the new packaging. It says here, a Nordstrom exclusive brow gel composed of 90% natural origin ingredients that creates instant volume and sets brows for up to 24 hours. It says it's waterproof, made with microfibers and fortifying vitamins B5 and B8, creates instant volume, and it looks like it's in 5 shades here, and there's a clear version as well for those who want a clear. So this is in the shade 032. Starting at the front, I'm gonna pull this way just to get a little bit more volume. Yeah, so far I can see that it does have some hold because it's keeping those brows going in the opposite direction. I do that for more 3-dimensional brows, so it's got a little bit more volume. Yeah, so you can see it does hold its shape. You can see them going the opposite direction. And then I like to just go over the top here and tidy it up. Okay, actually, that's really nice. I was a little bit afraid to use, not afraid, but I was hesitant to try something new because I really like this Pump and Brow. But I feel like this is maybe even better. I know it's a very quick first impression. It is a little more refined, but you still have some pretty good hold on it. The Pump and Brow, this one, helps to volumize, but I feel like this one, the new one, this one also volumizes while keeping everything pretty even. Sometimes the Pump and Brow could be a little bit inconsistent in where it deposited material, but this one is a little bit more improved, so that's good. I'm just cleaning up here. So I've got a little bit of the brow gel above my brows, but here's the difference between with brow gel and without. So far I'm happy with this updated version. So let me go ahead and even these out. Okay, so for the Quint here, I picked number 519. This one says a limited edition Nordstrom exclusive eyeshadow palette with 5 intense long wearing eyeshadows and a in a velvety case for endless makeup. So if you saw the unboxing, you'll know that this is a different, okay, let's hold it correctly. It's a different finish on the case. It's definitely velvety. 30 years after the first Velvet Edition eyeshadow palette, Dior is revisiting its love affair with the texture. The soft matte case reveals 5 creamy couture eyeshadows infused with cornflower extract and with velvet finishes for standout looks. So that's the information I have on that. Let's see how this goes. I'm going to do 2 different eyes and then I guess end up with a more dramatic eye. So I want to show you a couple ways. I know some people like a more simple eye, some like a little bit more dramatic. I'm gonna go in with this shade right here, this one right here. I think I mentioned it was somewhere between like a satin and a shimmer. I think that is where it sits because it's not as gentle as a typical satin because there's a little slightly more of a reflective quality, but the particles are very fine. So I'd say it is somewhere in that range. Let's go in with this color, the more coppery color. I'm going to use that as a crease shade. See how that goes. So just on application, it kind of blended by itself. I didn't blend per se, I just applied it with that brush. Let's go in with this deeper shade right here, this one. And I'm going to take it in the corner. See how that looks. Oh yeah, these are blending really easily. I don't know if you were able to see. I'm just kind of adding it and it's blending itself as I apply it. Really easy. Oh, that's beautiful. This is a really quick application because everything is going on so smoothly, evenly. I'm gonna take a brush and just make this an eyeliner, the deepest brown. This is an Esom brush, by the way, T05. Okay, what a really, really quick eye. So you could do something like that. I'm going to try something a little bit more dramatic though. I just want to see how this goes. When I can see that a dark shade is a really even application, then that tells me it's a really good one. I've got the Esom W21 brush here. It's pretty dense and I still have creasing even though I just put a little bit on. Just always happens on this eye. Let's go ahead. Oh yeah, this reminds me of Tom Ford's new formula. Actually, I think I had a request to swatch that against this. Wow, it's really similar to that in terms of how smoothly it applies and that creaminess about it. I don't know if you have any of those Tom Ford palettes, but their mattes really reminds me of that. So I'll swatch some comparisons for you. Yeah, putting a really dark shade on my eye kind of opens everything up. I'm gonna go underneath as well. Yeah, oh, did you see that? I just went like this and it applied it. Really smooth, I don't have any fallout. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm gonna put the darkest shade closest to the eye. I'm gonna try layering. So I'm gonna do like I would with a Byredo. Let's take this shade and we're gonna go above that. Really simple, I haven't blended yet. RAE MORRIS 6.5. Let's take this shade right here. I'm going to just add this to the lid. Oh yeah, these layer really nicely. I didn't know if they'd get lost because of that dark base. Oh, that's really beautiful. Let's take the more coppery shade. I'm gonna add that right next to this. And then I'm going to take this lightest pink shade. I'm going to add that to the inner corner. Okay, lovely. Let me go ahead and even out the other side, and then I almost forgot. It's gonna go in with my favorite mascara, but we have a mascara to try. I'm gonna even these out tight line, and then we're going to try the mascara together. I almost forgot I have an eyeliner, so I just evened this out as much as possible, and then I tight lined and went in the waterline with Victoria Beckham's eyeliner in Cocoa. So we've got the Dior Show On Stage liner. Let me see what it says here. So this is a matte brown, and it says a Nordstrom exclusive waterproof liquid liner with ultra flexible felt tip that draws a precise line for 24-hour eyeliner looks. A lot of 24-hour claims here. It's a hybrid tip that lets you adjust the thickness of your liner based on the pressure applied for natural to spectacular makeup looks. The Star eyeliner from the Dior Runway has been reinvented in a palette of intense shades featuring satin, matte, and pearly finishes. Oh, okay. Glide the eyeliner along the lash line to emphasize the eyes with a discreet natural effect. To open up the eyes, extend the line past your lash line. For a thicker line, apply gentle pressure. If you saw the unboxing, you'll know that I don't love a felt tip liner. I feel like I don't have as much control as a calligraphy, but I also feel like a beginner might get along better with a felt tip. It takes practice to get used to the calligraphy. So let's try it. This might be tricky one-handed, but we'll try. So I like to just kind of lay the eyeliner this way to get it really close and almost rest it on my eyelashes here to get as close as possible. So I use the side to my advantage rather than going in like this. Okay, so if you want to get really, really close to the eyelashes, you can do that pretty well with this. Like, it wasn't as flexible as I'm going to need it to be here on the end. So let's go ahead and just add to the other side. So again, I just lay it down like this. Pretty easy if this is the way you like to apply your liquid liner. And sometimes I like this just to get the intensity at the lash line rather than do any kind of wing. So for that purpose, this is really nice, easy to use. Okay, now for the wing part, which could be a little bit tricky with a felt. So let's go ahead and I follow this line from the bottom lash from this and I go up. That's kind of how I determine this shape here. It seems to really bleed into the skin, so not much room for error here with the liquid liner. So you might want to practice if you haven't used one before. And plus, it's not bending the way I need it to. Usually, yeah, I will push down and it'll bend and I'll be able to fill this triangle in, but it's not bending as much. It's really moving my eyelid here as I try to bend it. So I'm just going to try something different and brush it on. And normally I would just push and it would fill in that little triangle for me, but it's not bending the way I need it to. So it's turning out a little crooked here. I think that's as good as it's gonna get with just using one hand here. I'm gonna go to a larger mirror and just do the same thing to the other side, and hopefully we'll have a nice wing here. I tried to even them out as much as possible. I kind of got into that territory where my wings were just gonna be out here and really, really bold, so I had to stop. I'm just gonna add a little bit more of this deepest shade right here to the corner. I'm gonna try the mascara. Now I got the Dior Show Maximizer 3D, which I used to use this all the time with mascara. So we'll try this side with both primer mascara and then this side just mascara. Okay, so you can see it on there. We're gonna let that dry. So for the mascara here, oh, there are 3 colors. A maroon, blue, oh, I would have loved to have picked up the blue, and then black. It says a Nordstrom exclusive mascara that builds perfectly defined lash by lash volume with an extra, extra large brush for a lash extension effect. Composed of 90% natural origin ingredients infused with cornflower extract, this transfer-proof Dior Show mascara delivers 24-hour wear and strengthens lashes with each coat. Made for different types of eyelashes, this brush creates extra volume and definition for a standout eye makeup look. I like the packaging on this. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so this is brand new. So sometimes it takes a moment for it to just get a little bit dry. It's not building up really quickly here. Sometimes it just takes a couple uses to get there. So far, really even going on though. When you apply this, you can feel that it's a really smooth glide to the application. It's taking a little bit longer than I like it to take. Okay, so I'm gonna call this one coat so far. I'm gonna add to this side with a primer so we can compare one coat with primer versus one coat without primer. So we've got one coat here with the primer versus without primer, and I think just looking at it, I don't know if you can really tell the difference, but on application, I could feel the difference. It's as if this side had, not that it was hairspray, like crunchy like that, but it had a hold like hairspray would hold hair. It had more of an uplifted shape to begin with, and then applying that, it went on a bit smoother here with a primer as well, but I can't see that much of a difference in terms of volume. It's just more refined with a primer. There are a couple of lashes going in their own direction over here, and here with a primer, they all were very, what's the word I'm looking for? Uniform in the direction they're going and the space between the lashes. So I'm going to continue building up. Okay, so I've gone in with about 3 coats at this point, and the side with the primer is definitely doing better. Over here, what happened, and I'm leaving it like this, but I'll fix it in a moment here, is that there was a little bit of buildup here on the ends. I think you can see like a little excess here, and this poor eyelash always has a problem. But this one, and they're sticking together a little bit here. You didn't see that on the primer side. They're very well separated over here. And then the bottom lashes were okay, but I do have a little excess at the bottoms of some of these lashes. So it's not a totally even kind of distribution. So I'm going to just take a little of the excess off the ends here. Definitely better with the primer. There's a little bit of work to get a result that's nice with this mascara. So I'll give you some final thoughts at the end there about this mascara. I'm gonna go in with this lovely Valentino blush. Again, this is the shade number 9. Number 2, SUQQU blush for a little pop of color. Let's go in with Peche Rosé just to warm that up a little. So one thing I noticed about this Hermes powder is that it doesn't really keep like oiliness at bay. So if you are on the more oily side, this doesn't do the most amazing job. I feel like maybe if you're drier though, it might be nice. Yeah, it doesn't deliver that perfected look that I like in the front. Perfect blur powder right in the front. I just can see texture. So we're gonna fix that. That's the difference. Okay, and finally the lip tint. Again, I do not typically get along with these kinds of products because as you can see, I've got pigmentation to my lips already, so it just deepens the color. So I tried to pick the lightest shade possible. This is in the shade 351. I think it's the lightest shade. This is Natural Nude. It says it's a transfer-proof lip tint that provides 12-hour color with a semi-matte finish. This lip tint enhances lips with bold color and fuses with the skin for a bare lip sensation. It is infused with cherry oil to hydrate lips for up to 24 hours, providing long-lasting comfort. Embossed with the Dior logo. I do like this updated packaging. The Addict lip tint tube features a velvety finish that is soft to the touch, while the applicator is designed to deliver precise definition, an even finish, and optimal application comfort, all in a single sweep. Okay, so I thought I'd pause so you can see the difference, and it does feel like it needs to dry down a little bit here. Okay, it's not the easiest to apply. It's really pink too. It takes a little work. I'm just gonna let it dry. Hold on. Let me let it dry first and then I'll tell you about the application. Okay, I think that it's dried a little bit, I think. It still feels like it hasn't totally dried down, but I did have to be quite careful with application. Otherwise it was uneven. There was more versus like a little bit more sheer over here. So it took a little bit of just moving the material around. Feels comfortable, like it doesn't feel dry, but also doesn't feel like it's dried down yet, but it's been a few minutes. Let me see. There's a little bit of transfer, but I think it's because it hasn't totally dried down yet. But it's comfortable, oddly comfortable. I didn't think it would be. I thought it would be kind of drying feeling, just because there's a little bit of a cooling sensation on application. quick rundown of the products. This Dior Show Onset Brow is really nice. I think it's maybe my favorite product that I tried today. So I really love the Dior Show Pump and Brow, the previous version to this, but I think I'm gonna really like this one. So I liked the shade, I like the hold. It's a little bit more refined than the previous version, Dior Show Pump and Brow. This one is really nice. I liked the hold, but I also liked how it didn't deposit too much material at a time. And then we tried out the eyeliner, which I've already lost the cap to. So this is who I think this might be good for. If you like the Tom Ford eyeliner, you might not like this one because the Tom Ford eyeliner gives you a lot of control if you have practice with it in terms of the thicker or thinner line that you want to accomplish. Plus it's really easy. Like I said, after a lot of practice, it's really easy. This, however, I think does well if you're a beginner and you just want to line along the lash line. I thought it did a good job of that because I could just, you know, lay it against the lashes, get really close, and then it deposited color really evenly. On the swatch, it kind of bled into the skin though. So if you have a lot of texture to your eyelids, I don't know how well this is gonna go for you. Let us know if you have this. Building the wing was a little more challenging. I could build this part of it, but then filling in the triangle was trickier. So the eyeshadow was very nice. I wish there was a cooler palette. So that's what I was looking for in the selections. There was this one, there were 3 that had like a pinky red kind of hue to them. And then they had the blue one, which looked really beautiful. So I was hoping for something like a gray or even like a lilac-y purple kind of palette, which I didn't see. I don't know why they didn't offer that, but I would have definitely picked something like that up, like a taupey kind of thing. But the performance was really nice. Really reminded me of the Tom Ford palette, really reminded me of the Natasha Denona. So actually, let me swatch those for you side by side, then you can take a look. Okay, so I've taken out several palettes to look at, and I'm gonna look at them from here to see what looks similar, and then let's swatch. So I've got questions about the Tom Ford palettes. I have all 3 here. This one is Tiger Eye. The one in the middle here is Smoky Quartz. And then we have here the Rose Topaz. And this is Tom Ford's Rose Topaz. And the only thing I think that looks the same is maybe these 2, so we can swatch those 2. So these are the 2 next to each other. Here's the Dior palette. It's a little bit pinkier, glowier, and then this is a Tom Ford, and it doesn't have the same kind of glow, and it's got a little bit more brown in it. So I wouldn't call those the same. This is Smoky Quartz by Tom Ford, and now that I look at these, I don't really see similarities between them. At first I thought maybe these 2 shades were the same, but these are definitely a different tone. This has a coolness about it compared to this one. Then we have Tiger Eye here, and this is, I think, the one that reminded me of the same shade. So we'll go ahead and swatch those. Maybe these 2 might be similar. I'll swatch these side by side for you. So we got both palettes here. This is the Dior palette, and this is Tom Ford Tiger Eye. And these 2 are the shades that really reminded me of each other. But you can see there's more red in this one. This one's cooler, and you can see the sheen is different on the Tom Ford compared to the Dior. The Dior still has more of a powdery element to it versus Tom Ford, which appears creamier. But I have to say, when you apply them, they do remind me a lot of each other. But as you can see, not totally the same. I have both palettes of the Natasha Denona, the light and the dark. So when you look at the light palette, maybe these 2 look similar. I can swatch those, but other than that, nothing else really, I don't think, looks the same. I just went ahead and added that Natasha Denona shade right here versus the Dior, and this is the Tom Ford. So I wouldn't call those the same. And this one does have more of a powdery feel. Actually, these are more similar, I think, in texture, the Dior versus the Natasha Denona, at least this shade, versus something like Tom Ford. Now these 2, the Dior and this Natasha Denona, look more similar. So this shade reminds me of this shade, and this shade reminds me of this shade, or even this one. So we'll swatch them. So I've gone ahead and I've swatched this shade and this shade. This is a Dior palette with more red in it, and then we have the Natasha Denona. And I have to say, this time, the Dior palette felt creamier than the Natasha Denona. That one just has a slightly more powdery kind of feel. And you can also see there's just slightly more of a sheen on the Dior shade right there. So this time I've swatched this shade next to both Smoke and Crease. And so this is the Dior, a little bit more red. Then we have the Natasha Denona, that first shade, the Smoke shade. which is a cooler brown. And then we have this one, the crease shade, which is actually warmer. So this one's in between these two shades. I hope it was helpful to see all of the comparisons. Continuing to film this before I do the insert, so I will have talked through my thoughts on that. But this, if I'm not comparing it to anything, is a really nice palette. I thought it performed really well. It looks kind of like I described the other Dior palette that I picked up, the Riviera. It applies like a powder, looks like a cream, in that it looks really seamless going on. Really easy one to work with, but you've got to like these shades. That's the only thing. So I don't know what the performance is like on the other palettes, but I really liked this one. If I didn't have any Tom Ford palettes, I would probably want to pick this up, but I feel like if you had the Tom Ford palettes, this might be a little bit redundant. Let me know what you think, but it's a really pretty one. It performed really well. I liked the results. No fallout on application, really smooth. It layered really nicely. It also wore side by side really nicely. So I did that more casual eye and then something more intense. So I'd recommend this if you were thinking of it. And then the lip, I still feel like it hasn't fully dried down. I don't know why. I feel like I didn't add that much. It's now turned like a different shade. Did you notice? I feel like it looks more blue now. This is why I don't love lip tints. I love the idea of lip tints, but I think lip tints don't love me. And I'm just gonna finish off with a fragrance of Basilico and Fellini. I've been really loving this one. Totally forgot about the mascara, the Dior Show in 090. I liked it with the primer. So if you want to do the extra step with a primer, I think that really makes it perform better. Yeah, the primer here is how I would use this because I liked the result, but it's a second step for me, which is why with other mascaras that I love, they are one step, they're very simple to use, but it is a pretty result, but not enough for me to say it's gonna replace a holy grail. I'll continue to use it, see how it evolves over time because mascaras sometimes perform better after you've used them for a little while. So I'll keep you updated on this, but I definitely preferred it with the primer. I would love to know if you are considering any of these products, if you've ordered any of them and what you think of them. I'd love to know. Please let us know in the comments section below. But that is it for today's video, so please take care of each other. Stay well. If you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you next time.